We were handed a bag of mistakes. We were handed a bag of challenges. We were caught into a turnstile of economic failure. We received the worst possible scenario anybody could find themselves in. And people said, why would you want that? Because we believe. We wanted the responsibility because we believe that the best of Paterson's opportunities are still ahead of us. And one of the reasons why the directors, Koch, Brown, and Nagel spoke is so you know it's not just me. I'd be a fool to try to convince you that I did it all. I'd be a bigger fool if I didn't appreciate the talents that each one of the folks here on the stage and those of you in the audience and those of you at home have taken to make this a better place. I hope you can see some of the changes. It's not 100%, but we are on our way. Let me say to you that I am very proud of this particular document. I think it was not quite as presented as I would have, so let me try it my way. Imagine New York City, South Carolina, California, someone telling you about this place they've heard of called Paterson. A place not far from New York City where you can go. They have a falls that likens that of Niagara. A historic tour, a trade run, a place for folks with cultural connections to go and find out who they are, where they came from, to know how America was won in the West with the Colt gun, how John P. Holland, who invented and created the Holland Tunnel, also created the first submarine. Imagine. But the problem was, until this document, we were the only ones who knew about this. And in this day and age, you got to let the world know. So officially and formally, we just did it. I need to say to all employees, first and foremost, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. You did your job. You did what you were asked to do by contract or other reason. You did your job, the scope of work. I believe that you were shortchanged in previous administrations. My opinion. I believe you were not given the tools. I believe that you were not held to a standard by which the city would be performing and operating at what its capacity could be. I believe that. I believe as a result of that, many of you have had to face the daunting and most difficult experiences we just had. 272 up to 400 people laid off. It's a difficult task. It's a difficult task to make sure every job that used to be done gets done. That every call made gets answered. It's a difficult task. And then on top of that, have every dollar that you use be scrutinized. Be placed in a public record as though you don't have a clue. It is a difficult set of responsibilities to bear. And yet, and despite, you did it. And you're doing it. And you know what? The average person doesn't know because we don't tell them. I had a conversation a little earlier about how come we don't promote Paterson a little bit more in due time. Before we can promote, we have to understand what our faults were, our shortcomings are, and what our strengths are. And we're comfortable, I believe, that we know what they are. And I'm proud to stand here and say to you, we just did. In my response to you and my words to you, and also when they say to the BA and finance and to Tony Perez and to Kate Muldoon and to Eric Lowe and Cindy, to UEZ, to the office staff, and they started, thank you. They put this together. They decided that you, the public, need to understand that despite what you read in the paper and the rumors you may hear, a whole lot is happening. You have a responsibility as the public to know the truth. I have a responsibility to make sure you get the truth. And from this day forward, we will combat every lie, every manufactured issue to make sure we all know that we're in this together. It's an uphill climb. And we're never going to reach a proverbial promised land, at least not unless we get there together. So I want to say to the staff and to everyone, please know, I appreciate the furlough days. I appreciate the sacrifices you have made. I appreciate it. I appreciate it and the public appreciates it, even though they may not understand that those sacrifices you made kept them safe, kept the streets clean, kept the parks clean. So it took us all to do this. You heard a little bit about finance, and that seems to be one of the major conversations that happens. Whether or not the city is viable, whether or not the city can pay its bills. Well, oftentimes we wonder. The BA and the finance team often try to figure out how we were going to be able to make the ends meet. And the state, in its wisdom, was very clear to let us know that they weren't just going to let us say we were better. As a result of us being better, we were afforded the opportunity to bring back not just police, not just fire, but 27 folks who were laid off from DPW. Now, if that doesn't resonate to you, that means that we have turned a corner. Let me be the first to tell you. We have turned a corner. We recognize that we are made up of 52 different nationalities and ethnic groups. And it is not easy to balance and give everybody the same equal fair share on an 8.4 mile square footprint. It ain't easy. But we're doing it. We've asked people to understand and appreciate that we have to take a look at the processes that used to exist. Broken, failed, whatever the case is, we're going to do our best to make sure. I have then asked the police department to step up and make sure, no matter what the circumstance is, that you are safe. I'd like to say with the 37 additional officers, with the potential of our Class 1 police, you will feel safe. Let me say to you from an economic standpoint, you should know this. Soon, you're going to start to see bodies of people walking around and riding around in trucks and buses. Do not be alarmed. They are tourists. They are tourists who have been invited to come and see us, just like our friends from China. We have hosted at least 3, maybe 4, at least 3 different delegations of Chinese dissidents to come and see about our partnership. We told you about it last year. It happened. We just did. Let me say to you that the falls is, for us, just a place where the water runs. But the folks who have a deep sense of history, they want to know. They want to know how and where we came from. They want to know, did their ancestors take that path from Ellis Island to Paterson? That's a story to be told, and we're prepared to tell that story and earn some revenue while we're doing it. You should know that pretty soon our first attempt at an international platform will be happening here in Paterson. All things being equal, as we begin to test out whether or not our diversity, the framing of our diversity, and supporting our diversity will help us in future days to come. That event is called ceviche. Ceviche is a Latin American dish. And since 38 to 40+% of the public and the population of the city of Paterson is of Latin descent, why not? Why not invite and engage those folks to come here and be a part of this, to come spend their money here in our downtown corridors, to invest in our businesses, to buy homes? Why not? What I'm saying to you is we had the time, we had the opportunity, because we had the talent, to take a look at what our strengths are versus what our failures are. And Dr. King's letter from the Birmingham jail, he says that I could have spent a lot of time addressing my critics. Matter of fact, I could have wasted every breath of my life to respond to my critics. And the only thing that would have been accomplished at the end of that address is my critics would have still been critics. I've chosen, and we've chosen, to take this bull by the horn. It is not a friendly bull. It's a bull that has often had, if you have a bear the zip code 075, you are a question mark. And what we said is, no, we're not. But it has to start with us. So the business conversation has begun, and I'll tell you, everybody's not happy. This life is not about being everybody happy. It's about understanding that we have a responsibility. So when I hear from the department heads about how they have given their staff and their employees the charge and have held them to it, you should be proud, because I am. Let me say to you, you've heard in some of the discussion about the Armory and about Hinchcliffe Stadium. I am proud to say to you, we finally broke through that logjam. We have finally, in a conversation and meeting with public schools, National Historic Trust, and our own beloved Christopher Coe, engineer, we have finally begun the next wave of conversation about the revitalization of Hinchcliffe Stadium. We have just done it. The question is, what took so long? The Armory is another conversation. You've seen it in your books. You'll see pictures of it. A vision, a perspective of what can be. Ladies and gentlemen, our research has demonstrated that we have been a city of amateur-based sports. We have sent many folk to professional sports ranks. We support our kids in many of their activities, yet we don't have one single facility that exists that says this is who we are, and thereby the Armory is that task. It isn't going to be easy. Yes, they've already started pushing back, and I will say who they are. But we're going to have to come together and say, we demand to have a place where we can go, where we can spend our time with our families and watch our children grow. It is our time to come together. I'm happy to say that just the other day I had a conversation with our jitney friends. And we had a discussion to talk about the impacts of tourism, but also the accountability responsibility, the impacts that multiple vehicles in a bus stop have, the negative effects, and how we turn those into positive. And I'm happy to say of the 9, all 9 agree that we all need to change our behavior. How we do it, of course, is the test. But it's through conversation, I like to say, that I think we've made the difference. We open our doors. There's no one who's turned away. And let me speak to on the turn away part. I've received some critical press lately about whether or not this venue should be here at Channel 77. And I say, why not, and where else should it be? This is one of the people's houses. This is a place where you put out information. This is a place where you invite people to find out information, to develop programs that are culturally rich and ethically sound. This is that place. That's why when we first came into this administration, the first thing we did was invest in having this facility ready to go. And because of this, no matter where you are, coming to your home, a restaurant, a hospital, city hall, police headquarters, if you have access to cable, you can see this broadcast. We have reached a wider audience by doing this approach than anything that could have been done, other than a council change. It's about looking at things differently. This is the approach we've taken. We're an open book. We've got nothing to hide. We invite you to come in and ask the question. But I also expect you to be prepared for the responses. Lately, we've had a lot of folks with a lot to say. That's not called conversation. Conversation in which two sets of bodies openly discuss an issue. And then you come back or you decide. But you have to have at least that point, that meeting of the mind. Thus far, we've not had it. You may want to know some of the financials, and I asked our budget folks to help us with this because that's what they do. The fiscal year 2012 budget was adopted by the City Council on April 3rd of 2012 by a vote of 5-2-1 and 1. The total general appropriations were for $235 million, down from $236 million. Our efforts and our responsibilities and the fact that we understand that no one could withstand two back-to-back 29% tax increases. No one reasonably could have withstand that or want that. But we had to do what we have to do. We were mandated by a thing called an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding by the State of New Jersey. Mandated means it's not an option. Part of that required us to lay off people with 20-plus years of service who had not had the benefit of going through the full civil service process, had not been informed by their then directors that you need to make sure that your life and the life of your family were protected. We had to see people go by after they gave 20-plus years of service. No one should ever have to do that. This education we're talking about is a universal education for the city of Paterson. How do we build and grow? That's what we're talking about. I want to give special kudos to capable doing. Runs a small business development center across the street, directly across the street from City Hall. And though she's not a department head, but she acts like she's one. Kate has been a tremendous sounding board in terms of some of the new ideas and constructs that we're moving on. She is assigned to us through a contract through William Paterson University, there by the state of New Jersey. And what we've been doing is talking about our international tier. We've been talking about how to bring business into the city. And most importantly, we've been talking about how we help new business, that being you at home, whether you decide to glue together tapestry, whether you decide to string beads together. We want you to come down to the Small Business Development Center and grow your opportunity. Because the city of Paterson is the birthplace of the American industry. And one of the things that's sad about it, nobody seems to have known that. So we're encouraging that. And one of our next projects is to do a business incubation. We've traveled, and our team goes from, and you should know this, we go from city to city to wherever we think we need to go to see how other folks have done it. And we come back and we talk as a team to try to figure out a way to make it better here. These are the things that we've been doing. We've hosted several tours of both corporations, state employees, federal folks to show them the landscape. We've invited folks to be a part of where we are, and we're inviting you to do that. On the budget side, I'll say to you that it's always a glimmer of hope, and yet a sign of despair. You never know what your collection is going to be. Tony Zambrano and his team were very successful in our bonding recently. I mean, very successful. But we still have folks who've given up. Folks have bought it up and decided to move out. This economy has beaten us all down. We stay fast in our commitment and our convictions to making the city a place where you can grow your families. We've done a recent assessment of 52 pocket parks. And through a partnership with Pompton Lakes, and this is just one that's out there, we still have to figure out how to do it, we are going to have a skate park in the city of Paterson. Because some young man one day said to me, Mayor Jones, how come we don't have a skate park? And I'm a spiritual person, I believe. And I told him, I don't know, son. And months later, Mr. Jamie Dykes of the Chamber of Commerce said that Pompton Lakes said they'd like to give you that equipment. You gotta believe that we're destined for change. So, I want to say to you, no, it's not easy. Have I enjoyed being in the press as much as I've been? Well, the jury will decide. But I've enjoyed being able to stand on truth. I've enjoyed being able to work alongside every one of you, the MUA, and the outstanding and courageous acts and feats taken by the MUA during that time of which the national park became a national park. Let me tell you something. The hardest thing to do is to sit there and decide that you're going to sign away land that you could use for development in the hopes that it's going to become something that somebody says might happen one day. That's the hardest thing to do. But by faith and by planning, we did it. Thanks, Corporation Council, because you were there with us. We are now an official National Historic Park. Yes, we are. And it's said that for every dollar spent on a National Historic Park, it generates $4. And we wait to see it. And we're also trying to encourage it. Hence, tourism. We're not trying to chase ivory towers in Newark or Jersey City or New York. We found out that our goal is the quantity and the caliber of the people, the character and the culture. That's been our strength. And we've been too busy looking someplace else. And it feels good. Ceviche Fest is just a day. What's tomorrow going to be? More restaurants. So in my address, because we're asked to write one, you have to submit one that you could read and participate in. I'm going to share with you those words. These come straight from the heart. It starts with, first and foremost, allow me to offer my sincerest thanks to all of you who still believe that the best days for the Silk City are ahead. I wish to extend a very special thank you to my family. Many folks don't realize when the hits and the negativity comes about, it's not just me. My poor mom calls me up and says, "Are you okay?" She says, "I don't know what's going on." And there are days that I want to say, you know what, I'm so fed up with the lies and the deceit. There are days I want to say that. But that's not the job I signed up for. I didn't sign up for the job to combat every little tick and tack. I signed up for the job to try to lead the direction and focus of this city. And so this morning when she called me, she said, "Don't get angry today. You just go do what you got to do, but don't get angry." Mom, I'm not angry. I also like to extend my very special thanks to this administration for having to endure all the other stuff and very rarely getting the support and the accolades for the things you have done. Tony Perez and I have talked about new trolleys because I believe this city in 6 wards has the potential to be part of the historic tour. If you haven't had a chance, go to Broadway right next to Subway and take a look at the Underground Railroad site, because it's phenomenal right now. And it ties into the Underground Railroad story, the migration story from the south to the north. That's how we know that we're right on task. The other big monoliths, they're going to come, they're going to grow. Hotels will be springing up abundantly. They're coming. But we have to get our internal acts together first, and I think we did. When asked to support our vision and work with us as we reform our future, you all have responded in one way or another, but affirmatively. And together, we just did what we needed to do. And that's our motto. We just did it. As a result of our collective hard work and sacrifice, police, fire, DPW employees are returning to work. No one knows more what it's like to get a phone call about every little nuance and say it wouldn't be that way if we didn't have police. Ladies and gentlemen, let me correct that right now. You can have an army of police, but an army of police will not change the behavior and the social deviancy of people who do not want to conform. We have to police our communities. Assist the police in fire. We have to do it. That's what the other towns want. So if you want a better living condition, you've got to get in the game. Sitting on the sidelines gets you nothing except to be a critic. Please believe that I understand how critical employment is. It is one of the indicators that recovery is coming, which is why we were very clear to make sure that we find industries and opportunities that will help folks work. But let's get back to one of the hard truths. Paterson is known, unfortunately and maybe fortunately, of having a tremendous labor force. But that very same labor force needs to be retrained and retooled. And every day we wait, somebody else is going to come in this town, in this city, and get on the line ahead of you, who at least has a high school diploma if you don't have one, has a college degree if all you have is a high school diploma, has a master's if all you have is a bachelor's. If you wait in line, you will stand there online. You're going to have to reach out and seize your moment. A couple months ago maybe, at the African American History event, someone asked me, why did you speak about fraternities and sororities? Because I'm proud to be a member of it. Because the model is to reach back and help back. Because it required that I had completed my degree. It didn't say you could be a member of an organization, a fraternity or sorority, just because. It says you have to demonstrate that you're going to be of value to society. That's why I'm proud to be a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. That's why I recognize sororities and fraternities. Because in urban centers, they're the ones who get the job done. When no one else will go to communities and work with kids and other folks, they're the ones who've been doing it, and I'm proud to say that. Let me say to our credit, collective credit, the Great Falls National Historic Park, which is significant in the revitalization and recovery, is now more than just a promise. It's officially and ceremonially signed as of December of 2011. Now, I feel a little some way about the national park. I remember reading in the paper how I have to do this, and if I didn't do this, this would be the signature statement of my administration. I remember that. And I thought, oh, how odd. Not crossing the kids safely across the street, making sure the kids cross the street safely to go to school. Not assuring that abandoned buildings are no longer abandoned. Not assuring that some kind of economic revitalization occurs. But whether the national park gets signed. And I said, you know what? That's what I said to myself. I can no longer let people try to drive who I am and where we are. All those things have to matter. Which is why all of these folks, and those of you here and those of you at home, why we all have to get on the same train. We have to make every nuance matter, or they will tell us what should matter. Friendly and cooperative relationships with China, Peru, and Turkey designed to encourage international relationships throughout trade, travel, and tourism and manufacturing have also begun. Oh yes. We've entertained Turkey, Peru, and China. And most recently, a delegation from Spain, travel agents, came to the falls. And they took their trusty cameras out and took pictures of the falls, and they sent them back to their countrymen, I suspect, to show them what a wonderful place this could be. I didn't do it. We just made sure that those who wanted to come and be a part of our fabric had an opportunity. That's how change happens. As I said, the Hinchcliffe Stadium and the Armory, there were once legendary facilities for communal and athletic recreational facilities, are now part of the central discussions of our redesign and restructuring here in the city. And they're engaged to both stabilize the communities they sit in, but also to offer us, our community, venues by which we can go and have a good time. It should not cost the average family a mortgage payment, or car payment, or a college payment to go in a town by which they call home to have a good time. It should not cost that. But unless we plan it and build it that way, it will. And unless we talk about it consciously, the apathy will rise even greater. Folks, we've got to make the change. The city's downtown business corridor continues to experience increased and consistent consumer traffic and rebirth. I wrote that because I walk downtown just about every day. And every day I'm amazed with the foot traffic. Every day I'm amazed with the folks who still see yellow lines parked on the curb, painted on the curb, believing that they can pull up to the curb and park. Every day I'm amazed. I'm amazed at an ATM machine on the side of a building, because it's on the side of a building, convinces somebody that they should park their car, get out, go and take out a reduction or a deposit, withdrawal, thank you, I don't even know how to do it, a withdrawal for $25, but a parking violation is $250. I am amazed. I'm amazed that we still have not shifted who we are and what we are. And I have to step back a minute, and I realize it's part of our cultural disconnect. It's in part of that, I think. But we're going to stand firm. Because part of this thing about tourism and my travels to Alabama and the discussions I've had with other folks have been this. Tourism is an industry. It's a major industry. By the way, did you know that there are 50.1 million people that attended New York City last year because of tourism? If the city of Paterson, because of the falls and because of St. John's and because of our architecture based on Lyon, France, because City Hall was built based on some of the architecture of buildings in Lyon, France. If we got 1% of 50 million people, 10% of 50 million people just passing through and leaving $10, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you something, you're going to be all right. But we had to figure out what was broken. Then we had to put together a plan. And then we had to let the people do their work. You know now I'm not a politician. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to stand here and tell you it's sunny when it's raining. I'm going to tell you what I can do. I'm going to tell you what I won't do. You can call me arrogant, and I understand that. But don't get arrogance confused with commitment. I'm committed to changing what's broken. The arrogance isn't what you think you see. It's not about me feeling some kind of way. It's about believing that unless I stay true to what I believe in, we will be the same city we've always been. Stuck in neutral, stuck in stupid, waiting for somebody else to bring us the promised land. And I'm not about it. And I'm almost done. The city's economic development departments and agencies, Paterson Restoration Corporation, thank you. Small Business Development Center, thank you. Chamber of Commerce and UET, thank you so much. Thank you for believing. Thank you for having a paradigm shift. Folks, if you didn't have an economic development construct, how did you bring business here? If you didn't create a marketing tool to showcase what you are, how do you get people to come and invest? If you didn't do that, then how can you expect change? It took the leaders of those respective houses to say, Mayor, we don't quite get where you go, but let's work it out. Kate stood up, got interns, Those interns then went out throughout all parts of the city with council members in tow. And we assessed every possible ward and street to see where new business opportunities could happen. Because guess what? That's where we want our tourists to go. We want them to feel like they can go to Little Italy in the 6th Ward, or they can go to Little Egypt in the 5th Ward, just like they do every place else. And why does everyone want them to spend? We want them to enjoy and take pictures. And we want them to send them back to the social media so somebody else wants to come here and see that place. That's how you create the opportunity. I'm happy to say that last year we tried something called Paterson PM. And we were battled. Paterson PM, simple idea. What happens in the day happens at night. You get 2 shots as a revenue. From an economic standpoint, it makes sense to me. But our dissenters wanted to believe that it couldn't happen. Marsha, Sil, and so many others got involved. Tony, Kay, and Eric. And what we did was we cordoned off the downtown area. And we'd invite the businesses to put cafe-style tables and chairs on the streets so that we could walk down there comfortably and safe and eat and drink and listen to music and watch crafts. And we were fought by Patersonians, which is typical because they didn't understand. You got to put something in if you're going to get something out. We did. It wasn't big the first one. The second one was not too bad. We are now looking at, as a result of that, the Jazz Fest that happened at the park. That 5-week opportunity, which showcased the talent of artists born and bred in this city, who performed at the Falls, rivaled the Baltimore Jazz Fest that my wife and I attended not long ago, or any other fest. A place in your own town where you keep your dollars and your cents in your town and you celebrate and enjoy your opportunities with your family in your own town. Folks, that's what the mission is. I refuse to give somebody else my dollar when I can get it right here. We're encouraging the business, the downtown business corridor to understand that you may have to change your product line. You will definitely have to change the way you treat the people coming to your store. You're going to have to look at all of us differently. That's the change that's coming. We've stayed true to that. The vision of returning back to our future as a strong, industrialized community is as strong today as ever before. While our products have changed, so too have the compositions of our schools and our communities, our churches and our businesses. These are all the signs of progress. Our historic past has provided the foundation for our future. Both technology and history, the blueprints of the first planned industrial city in New Jersey and the nation, which features the Colt gun, Holland submarine, the locomotive, silk and textile industries, respectively. They serve as our reminders of our once proud land. Paterson's footprint of success is deep and rich and has long been cemented in America's story of invention, organization, and power, and was then and now challenge and failure, who happen to be the companions of success and prosperity still later. We as a team, we choose partnership over demise, collaboration rather than separation, innovation instead of stagnation, and vision above rhetoric. We answered together, as did you. We just did. I want to invite you all to stay a part of what's happening. We've reached out as far as creating an online website, Facebook page. We have, and we'll make sure these brochures are available in City Hall and our respective libraries. Ms. Makel informed you that this marketing tool will not just be here, it will be at different places. We want to hear what you have to say. We want you to be involved. I need you to go to see Mr. Perez and tell him what's wrong with the parking scenario, so he can, with his team, figure out a better solution. I don't know if you know, but a bit of trivia is quite this way. We're a city of 146,000 according to the census, and by the way, we have just concluded step 1, step 2 in our challenge to the census. We refuse to accept that our population went from 150,000 to below that number. And in order to do that, the PRC have to afford us the opportunity to make this challenge. So as a result of yesterday's PRC meeting, we were empowered with the ability to make this challenge official. And we have reached out to the team, the company who will lead that challenge. Just like Jersey City won, and in winning, they were able to become a city of the first class. And becoming a city of the first class, you get to affect the hours by which bars and liquor stores are open. You get to affect whether or not you get state and federal dollars and the amounts. Because of that, you become a city by which the big dollars flow. And we have to make that decision, but we also have to find resources. So, I'm done. Not very flowery, maybe not very exciting. Folks, we barely touched the surface of the economy. The reason we didn't share all of them with you is we want you to know. We want you to get involved. We want you to get engaged. We encourage you to do so. Call the office. Come on down. Go to the library. Log on. Link up. Stop the police officer. Tell them, hey, how you doing? Let us make Paterson what we all see and feel in our respective hearts. And if you do that, when you do that, first of all, you're going to feel excited. But most of all, you're going to make it happen. We just did it, and we'll help us do it again. Thank you so much.
I hope everyone